Now we're going to transfer this design onto this blank. We're going to start off with the fillet first. So we're going to take this dimension, we're going to put it right into there, and we're going to mark that with our marking gauge. Now we're going to draw this line onto here. And we're going to use these as our transition points to tell us where it changes from convex to concave. And it's that point right there. And halfway, we're going to put in 2 more marks. And from there, we're going to get, same thing as we had before, we're going to get this distance from here to here. And we're going to draw in the curve here as well. If your other option, which is sometimes easier, is if you had transfer paper, you could simply lay it down, trace over the top of this, and glue it to the blank. That's another method of achieving this. Sometimes it's hard to draw a curve onto end grain. We don't want to try and take the table saw blade right to the very edge, because if we miss by even a little bit, we've ruined it. So we're going to come back, a 1/16 or so. So this portion comes out at the table saw. For a convex surface, we want to take as much of this off as we can with either the table saw or a straight blade plane, which is easy to sharpen. Molding planes we want to use as little as possible so we don't have to sharpen them as frequently. The reason for the 2 points is so that the plane has 2 points of contact to write on. When you're running the molding plane, it's much easier to steer if you have these 2 points. The next step is to put in 2 rabbets to cut the concave portion of the molding. We want to have the 2 points of the rabbets along this line that we drew. So we're then going to take a secondary pass on the table saw to remove stuff so that we've got a point here and we've got a point here. Remember, any concave surface needs 2 rabbets to write off of. Any convex surface needs a chamfer to write off of. Now we've adjusted the fence for the first cut of the first rabbet. So we've cut the rabbets here. This one we'll do at the bench with the plane, but these were cut so we would have these 2 points as guidelines. So then this material will be planed away until we touch both of these lines. We've now touched both lines, or close enough for our purposes here. We're a little bit off, so we didn't come into our molding. As you become more used to using these, you'll make this distance closer and closer. But in the beginning, you want to have a little room for error. I'll now take this down a little bit more, and then we'll come and do these two. I do not want to finish this molding first, this section of the molding, because it's low. If my plane were to slip, I would mar the finished piece, is to take this line, the fillet line, and extend it down the length of the piece. And we'll darken that so it's a little easier to see. This is a rabbet plane, very similar to a bench plane, the difference being that the blade extends all the way to the edge on both sides. So it allows us to plane up to a corner. We're now going to start with the round plane to create this hollow. Since these are sharp edges, we don't want to take our molding plane directly to it. We're going to take the edge off with the rabbet plane. And it only takes a couple of passes just so it's not a harsh edge. What we're going to do now is to choose the appropriate sized plane. This plane most closely approximates the curve that we need to achieve. Now we're going to change over to a hollow. And now we're to the point that some 80 grit paper, we'll take out a couple of these light plane tracks. I got one little ridge here I can feel. This is the first molding. It's complete. It needs a little bit of sandpaper. It took about 15 minutes or so to make this piece, and it's done. So we need to make two more, but we can have the whole thing complete in 1 to 2 hours and ready to install versus trying to order a cutter, make a cutter, a series of router bits which may or may not achieve the goal that we're searching for. This is the reason that I think more people should be enthralled with the use of hand tools in correct circumstances. This piece is not a stock piece. You're not going to find it anywhere. It's not a true radius, so you're not going to be able to grab something off the shelf. That is to say, we only want to use this when it's the appropriate situation. We want to use power tools for absolutely everything else because it's a lot easier, a lot faster, and a lot more repeatable. But in this case, you can't make this easily with a power tool.